Let's come back to your thoughts on social media and the staggering numbers of young children, pre-primary school age children, 3, 4 and 5-year-olds who are using it. Almost half, well, getting on for half, 40% or so, have some access to social media, according to a new finding today. Another first-time caller tonight, Roy, in Exeter. Evening, Roy.
Yes, good evening to you. My son thinks he's Andrew Tate, and his mates do. He's been brainwashed by this, excuse the French, idiot. And he's changed over the years. He's 14, sounds like he's going on 35, 40. And he's just causing me and his mother so much problems.
What's he doing or saying, Roy, that's disturbed you in this way?
He's gone from drink to his cannabis, whatever he's doing and stuff. He's stolen off me. He says I'm a SHITE father, a fat father and all that, but he just said that he reckons it's all my fault that he's like that, and we've just fallen out. And he said he's basically got into his music and that, and he's just smoking dope. He was never going to school. He never used to be like this, like 4 years ago.
Gosh, it's harder to watch as a dad and feeling powerless by the sounds of it, Roy.
Yeah, I am. I've been thinking about going to he's ordering stuff off the internet. I think he's ordering knives and stuff. It's going that far.
He's ordering weapons, your 14-year-old.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't know when to take him serious, because he says he's using it as like trophies and stuff, like his mates and his dad's parents have got it. I've told him I've grounded him, told him to stay in. He said if I stay in again, he's going to, everything stab me in the forehead, basically.
Right. I mean, what are you going to do?
I've been thinking about going to the police. It's come to a situation now. Me and his mother can't handle him, in the sense he's tall. He's 6 foot now. He's very tall for his age, actually. 5'11", 6 foot. But I've told him I can't. If I hit him or do anything, I'll be up myself. I can't do no more than him. He said if you touch, he knows all the rules, and he said when you go to sleep at night, I'll be watching you, kind of thing. Then
your own son said that to you.
Yeah,
That's
and he
chilling.
said Andrew Tate. He thinks he's Andrew Tate. He thinks he's Andrew Tate. He listens to Andrew Tate. He says women are, and all this. And I'm not going to repeat what he says, but he thinks women are sluts.
When did this start, Roy?
I think it started probably in the last, I would say, 18 months, when it really started. In the last 6 months, it's become really a problem for me and his partner, me and his mum, in the sense that if he doesn't get what he wants, he thinks we don't like him. We was giving him some pocket money, that's stopped now, and he's threatened. He's taken £10 out of my wallet the other week.
And what makes you think this comes back to social media and Andrew Tate and what?
A lot of it is social media. A lot of it is to do with his social media, because he's constantly on his gaming.
Right.
He's gaming. He's doing his gaming. He's addicted to his shooting up games and all that type of thing. He's just become an absolute. I'm sorry to say, I'm getting upset, but he doesn't feel like he's my son no more.
That's a hard thing for a dad to say, Roy.
Yeah, he is.
You feel like you've lost him to social media.
Yeah, I have, actually. And like I said, I just like to shake him up, and I can't. I can't put my hands on him. And he's told his mum to F off, basically, and called her names under the sun. I think he thinks he's something special, and he's just a little boy at the end of the day.
What was he like? What was he like before he started using social media and gaming?
He was a lovely lad. He was a lovely lad. I mean, we're coming up to Christmas now, and I remember when he would have big smiles on his faces when he was about, because he has grown. You won't believe how much he shot up in the last year or two. And he was a lovely lad, about 12, 13, and he's just shot up. And he used to come down in the morning, and he used to call me dad, and smiles on his faces and stuff. And, and he's just a good lad, just one of them play football with. And we used to go to the shop talking about, different things. He's a good lad. And now he's just turned into an absolute, he thinks being aggressive is the way forward.
Can you sort of pinpoint what changed?
Social media. Like I said, since he's been going with his mates a lot and he's smoking weed, I know he's smoking his dope, he's playing games all the time, he's literally addicted to playing his games, and then he goes out with his mates and they're doing things. I can't put a camera on him 24/7.
Of course not. He's 14.
Yeah.
Roy, I'm sorry. That's a heartbreaking thing for a dad. It's tough. Really tough thing for a dad to go through.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't think I'm the only one, but I think a lot of people I've spoken to, their own issues with some of their boys, shall I say that thing, and it's just It's the weed, it's the rap, it's everything at the moment.
What do you make of the fact that the children are a lot younger than your boy? 3, 4, 5-year-olds are on social media.
I can't believe that. Yeah, I mean, he was never like. I mean, like I say, it's his teenage years now. I find that incredible. He was never like that.
Oh right, I hope you get your son back. I hope he comes. Yeah. I hope it's a phase. I hope you get your boy back, like he was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Because you must.
He's still got that little thing there, and he twinkled in his eye that I could probably,
Yeah. Let's hope the real him is buried somewhere beneath the sort of the influence of the Andrew Tates and the other social media kind of factors, and your boy comes back to you.
That Andrew Tate, since then, what he's done to kids, and he's I'm sorry to say, I'm not going to repeat, but he's an absolute, you know what?
There's words that I could use and you could use, Roy, and I think we know what they are. But it's also about how these children are accessing Andrew Tate, how he's become to be so influential and poison the minds of boys, for many, many boys across the world, for a whole generation. Roy, I don't know what. It sounds like you need some help, to be quite honest with you, because you're trying and doing all your best, and it's beyond your control.
Yeah, I'm in a dilemma because I mean, me and his mother, we've had some talking about it, what we're going to do, and she said go to the police, but I can't do it. If he's ordering knives to my house, it's becoming criminal then.
Well, yeah. It is. If he's ordering deadly weapons, and then that is a criminal matter. I can't tell you what to do, Roy, but it sounds like you've tried everything that you can, you and his mum yourself, and maybe it's beyond your power at this point. I don't know. I can't tell you what to do. It's an impossible situation for any parent to be in. Thank you, Roy.
More calls on Nigel Farage, his alleged behaviour at school, his Nazi joker past, and whether he should apologise to the boys, now men, who say what he said to them has marked them for life. Ritchie's on the line in Colchester in Essex. Morning, Ritchie.
Hello, Matthew. You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for asking. I hope you are too. What do you make of everything, really, about this story?
Well, I was a bit of a Nigel Farage when I was at school in the 90s.
Okay.
And I said some things to people that were definitely racist.
Can I ask why? Can I ask why?
Why did I do it?
Yeah.
Because I was a child and stupid.
Okay.
And as time's gone on, and as I've grown up, and now I'm in my mid-40s, I've realised those things were unacceptable and stupid.
So can I ask you, put the same question to you I put to the previous caller, Terry, that if you were to meet any of the people that you were vile to back in the day, would you feel the urge or need to apologise?
Absolutely, I would do, and I have done.
You have done? Tell me more. I'm liking you, Ritchie. I like a man with a heart. I do like a man with a heart.
Well, I've met these people again. We went to a boarding school, so we were around these people a lot more time than maybe you are if you're at a normal school. And, I definitely said some really racist things at the time. And I had a stepfather at the time who thought it was acceptable to, and actually encouraged me to be racist.
I do. I'm very much of the opinion that children have to be taught racism, and you have given a great example there, Ritchie, a great example.
Well, that's where I got it from. He taught me to be racist. He told me that these people were not as good as me. And as time's gone on, I've realised that they're the same as me.
Can I ask how you learnt that?
Because it's a difficult one.
It's not an easy question, I know. Yeah.
Because as time's gone on, I've just realised that my daughter got into a relationship with a Polish guy who is lovely. And I have a shopkeeper around the corner who's Hindu, who is the hardest working man I've ever met. And I've just realised over time that we are just people trying to get on in the world, and whatever colour your skin is, or whatever your faith is, or whatever your background is, we are just all the same people, just trying to get on in the world and strive to look after our families and our our people.
Ritchie, I feel like getting on a bus, going down to Colchester now, seeking you out and giving you a massive hug, absolutely massive hug, because...
I could go for a beer, mate. If you want.
yeah, we'll have the hug first and then do the beer. Tell me, because I about the day you apologised, how did it lead up? What did you say, and how did the person respond?
We did a school reunion, and he was just like, "It's fine, I'm used to it," which is sad, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is. How did you feel after apologising?
I'll be honest, I felt like a bit of a weight had been lifted, but also I felt more of an idiot.
Why?
Because I was just ignorant, wasn't I? I was just a silly young boy who...
You've been poisoned by your stepfather. I wouldn't bring on... What's it for me to say? But I don't... It doesn't... you were poisoned. You were groomed, is one of the words we use, to have these thoughts. And it just gives me... And I can't tell you how many messages that are coming through about you at the moment. This caller gives me hope. Yeah, I have tears in my eyes, says Alison. Previous caller Terry should take a leaf out of Ritchie's book. Ritchie from Colchester is brilliant. These are the messages that are coming in now. And I agree with every one of them, because to me, being a man, being an adult, is about facing up to the things we've done wrong and putting them right. And when I hear people like yourself doing it and having the cojones to do it on the radio, I think I can say that, and having the cojones to do it on the radio makes my heart leap, Ritchie. Can't put it any other way. Makes it worth getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to hear people like you. Thank you for the call. Have a wonderful rest of Sunday.
You can see why the head of Ofsted has put out this alert essentially today about these numbers, as well as that almost 40,000 absent completely. There's the figure of 166,000 described as severely absent. All kinds of reasons for this. Stacey's called from Little Hampton. Hello, Stacey.
Hi.
You want to talk about the special educational needs system?
So my daughter is 14. She's soon to be 15. She is diagnosed with ADHD and awaiting autism assessments. And this all kind of kicked off when she was about 7, and she had epilepsy. And she was medicated for the epilepsy at the time. And so she had absent seizures, which you grow out of. So when she was 9, she had grown out of the seizure. She hadn't had a seizure for 2 years.
Yeah.
And so they took her off the medication, and her behaviour completely skyrocketed. She couldn't manage in class. She was disruptive. She was distracted. She couldn't cope with other children. She really, really, really struggled. And that has kind of been a bit of a continual theme ever since, really.
So sorry, was she absent from school because of the epilepsy ever, or just medication?
So she wasn't. No, she was medicated. She wasn't absent at that time. So as soon as her behaviour kind of took off after she was medicated, after she was taken off the epilepsy medication, she was quite frequently excluded. She was put on reduced timetables, and all of those factored into her attendance. So,
do you think? I mean, I don't know anything about this. So, do you suspect that the epilepsy drugs had been dealing with more than the epilepsy in a way?
Yeah, kind of. So she was a bit of a shell of herself, and I don't know kind of what that was all about, really. I don't know the kind of science behind it. But she was really withdrawn and quite tired all of the time and things like this. So the second that she was taken off of that medication, things kind of really went totally
very different direction. And what age was she at this point?
9.
Gosh, little. It's very little, isn't it?
Yeah, she's very little.
Yeah, and what's the situation like now?
So ever since then, she's kind of been periodically on reduced timetables and excluded from school. She's quite frequently excluded from school because she just can't really manage, to be honest. Her trust in the system is completely nil, so she doesn't trust the adults around her. She's not particularly forthcoming with what we consider model behaviour. She finds it quite hard. But yeah, she spent a lot of time being excluded and punished for things that she would consider trivial. The thing that actually made me ring was talking about the uniform.
Yeah.
Because at my daughter's school, they have positive and negative points for behavioural events. And there's one event that just sticks in my mind where she got 49 negatives in the space of an hour for wearing her coat because she was cold.
Do you know what I think about these positive, negative point things? I don't know how you feel about it, Stacey, but I'm sorry. I wouldn't be happy with my child being behaviourally monitored in that way, in such a granular way. You know, can you imagine walking around? I just don't think we should necessarily treat children massively differently to how we expect to be treated ourselves. Can you imagine being in the office and having somebody say, that was great today, Sheila, but that wasn't so good. That was awful today. You know, yes, you can have longer term conversations about the direction of travel of a project, but today you were good at this, but you were bad at that. Bad. You know, depending on how you feel on a given day, you can take that criticism or not. An anxious child who's been unwell does not need to be picked at a granular level about their behaviour.
I think for me, even non-neurodivergent children, even neurotypical children, you know, this isn't a helpful way of helping them to grow, because actually we're all humans, we all make mistakes.
And can you imagine?
If somebody was sat next to you picking at every single thing that you did, what's that going to do to your self-esteem?
My God, it's like, you know, when you have a bad day yourself, when you're telling yourself bad things about yourself.
Absolutely.
It's like having
a
teacher full of that, you know, a school full of teachers telling you that. Good God.
Absolutely. I think so. When, certainly for my daughter, her self-esteem is already pretty low. She already feels that being diagnosed with ADHD makes her less than. So when she's constantly being told she's bad or she's wrong, then, you know, what effect does that have? And are we then surprised that she doesn't engage well?
But as
just to kind of illustrate this a bit more, not last year, the year before, so she would have been year 8 at the time, it was, again, back to the negative, positive point. She actually had gotten, by the May of her school year, she had gotten 900 negative points. And when I worked it out, 600 of them, I would argue, related to her being dysregulated, which is obviously part of her disability that she cannot help. So, but if you're seeing that, and what they used to do in her school was at tutor time, they would get up their positive and negatives, and they would kind of say, oh, this person got lots of positives, here's a reward. But she's then in front of her whole class seeing... I'm rubbish. Yeah, exactly.
And that 900 figure, was that over a year?
Almost a year, yeah. So the June of that year, they finished in July.
Honestly, I mean, again...
But also, they'd sent out correspondence that in the year 11, if you got more than 100 negatives in a year, you weren't allowed to go to the prom. So this was like then really big in her mind, which actually it wasn't an issue because you're year 8 and we'll figure it out when we get there. But for her, it then was like, oh, well, they don't like me, they're not going to let me do this. And it kind of spiralled in that way. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
did she say they don't like me?
Yeah, quite often.
Oh, dear me.
Quite often. The teachers, I think they make comments. She got told last week, I think it was, that she is the rudest student that's ever been in that school. And she obviously doesn't respond well to that. But what I find it really difficult as a mum, because I really want to be on the school side, but some of the things that they do and say I think are absolutely ridiculous.
Absolutely. And also it's probably a good thing I didn't have kids. I might have punched a few teachers if I had. I mean, you know, I'm half joking when I say that, but
I know, I understand.
But what you're describing isn't that far, whether a child has issues or not. It's not that far removed from a sort of Victorian, Dickensian, you know.
It does feel like
put your hand out and I'll hit you with a ruler kind of territory, you know.
It does feel very just negative, constantly negative, and I think. I don't really know what the answer is, but I do know that the way it's working right now isn't working. And, you know, having a SEND child, it's really hard to watch. And I was always one of those, I spent the first couple of years being like, you've got to be doing something here, darling, and you really, really need to kind of butt your ideas up and follow the rules. And then suddenly it occurred to me, well, actually, I don't think anybody wants to be told off this amount. Nobody wants to not be in school this amount. You know, actually, when I think about how she's treated, if it was me, I would not go. Whereas
I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that just hearing her story, Stacey. And I'm not saying that teachers have it easy, if any teachers are listening and throwing things at me at the radio. I don't think teachers have it easy. Of course you don't. And dealing with a lot of kids with different characters, different personalities, different needs, massively stressful job. I completely get that. But if your starting point is nitpicking, why would you expect the children around you to be rushing through the door every morning if your starting point when you see them is to nitpick? Come on.
Dave is in Oxshott. Hello, Dave.
Hey, Ian. Hi. First-time caller, and went on a subject that I'm quite passionate about. So I'm a South African, born and raised individual who lives here in the UK, and I would like to really share that boycotts, the question is always asked, do boycotts work? And these cultural boycotts, sports boycotts, etc. I grew up under apartheid, and we were boycotted as a country, rightly so, for the political system that the country was exercising across its, and the government is responsible for the laws that are in the country. The boycotts worked. Every one of us growing up in South Africa knew that we were not accepted as a country, not as individuals, but as a country, because our laws and our actions were unacceptable from a global perspective. And it was interesting that the West was actually the last group of countries that actually boycotted South Africa. It was a global movement. And Ireland, there was a question about Ireland and, should Ireland do it? There's a great story about a group of women that worked in a supermarket in Ireland that stopped handling South African fruit because of the apartheid system. And that grew and grew and grew. And eventually those women actually met Nelson Mandela when he was released and became a democratically elected country. Our country never looked back on that. Yeah, we've got challenges as a country, but the boycott worked. Every South African knew that it was unacceptable what was happening in the country, and it helped.
See, I wonder whether the same thing is happening in Russia, because Russia has been banned from all sorts of sporting events. It's been banned from Eurovision. I've got no particular insight into the Russian people, but I'm not sure. I believe that they're thinking in the same way that you were thinking.
They will know. They will know. I spend a fair amount of time in France. There are a lot of Russians in France. They know, and they're very, very quiet. All the Russian cars have no Russia on it. As a South African traveling under apartheid, if somebody asked you where you were from, you had to make a decision whether you said South Africa or you said I'm from Zimbabwe or I'm from Australia. A lot of people confuse the southern accents. And you would make a decision on the basis of where you were. Undoubtedly, the longer boycott, when the boycott bites, when you are not accepted, you know that it's not you as an individual, but as a country, that feeling spreads and spreads and spreads.
What do you think people in Israel will be feeling tonight? Those that care?
100%. Oh, no, the national psyche, the initial thing, as a South African, what we did at the time was we rallied together. The first thing we wanted to do was how great we were. The Rugby World Cup was not worth anything without the Springboks, but gee, we wanted the Springboks in there. And we rallied around the nationalism. As South Africans, we've got this, we'll stand up against the world. But at the end of the day, you cannot. The whole mindset becomes one of we are unaccepted, we're a pariah, not as individuals, but we're a pariah as a nation because the actions of government, one of the law, as a law from a legal perspective and what was enacted into law, and the second one was the actions of the country. And if you look at what happened, this week where you have arbitrary execution of two prisoners that are surrendering. You have the 15 medics that are murdered. You have multiple instances. And in South Africa, it was exactly the same. The parallels for me between what happened in South Africa and what's happening in Israel are stark. And frankly, for me, I think the boycott 100% will influence people in Israel to sit back and go, maybe we should be thinking of a different way.
Well, Dave, thank you very much. Let's throw that out there to any people who are listening in Israel, because I know we have quite a few listeners in Israel because they often phone in. If I was Israeli, I think I would regard this as a bit of a national humiliation. I think there'll be some people that think that. There'll be others that shrug their shoulders and think, so what? So what? Does this really mean anything to be banned from taking part in a kitschy song contest?